Hey, it's Coach K, the founder of TeenPulseLife.com, and a lot of my percussion students have been asking me lately, how do you tape your sticks so meticulously? So I'm creating this video for you to help you do the same thing. Now what you're going to need for this is a pair of untaped drumsticks. If you have some old sticks that you want to retape, go ahead and take the tape off, make sure they're completely bare. You're also going to need some electrical tape, preferably two different colors. Contrasting colors are the best, I think. You're also going to need a pair of scissors. I don't care how small they are, how big they are, just make sure they can cut tape. You can tear it, but I strongly suggest using scissors for a nice clean cut. So, here are some examples of some sticks that I've taped in the past. You can kind of see the detail on them. Each new layer of tape is completely lined up with the old one. So, got some little detail going on here. Usually you tape marching drumsticks, but because I teach a lot of bucket and trash can groups, we actually use a lot of drum set sticks. And so these ones are a rock N for nylon, and they're by Fig Firth. And I use these a lot in my bucket groups just because the nylon tip sounds great on a plastic bucket, but also because they're not too thin, but they're not too thick that they're gonna break the buckets too. So today we're gonna tape a pair of these for buckets. And here's what one of our Trashers performers, these are their sticks. Now what we do in Trashers is everybody wears a pair of classic Converse, and then whatever color laces you have is what's going to be your accent color. So this person had green Converse, so the stick was green, and then she had white laces, so we put in some little white accents there, and you'll see that that white can get kind of dirty. So we're going to need to retape these pretty soon. That's what happens when you use light colors, but it's totally worth it. So let's get started. Go ahead and get your tape out and get your stick. You want to start with one stick, and you want to make sure that your tape is cut nice and straight at the edge right there. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to line up the top of this tape right here with this nylon tip. Now if it's a wood tip, you can do the same thing. I'm going to go straight across. Now if the stick is tapered right here, right before the shoulder, a lot, you want to make sure that you kind of stretch the tape a little bit, get it all the way across there. Don't let there be a little opening like that. So you want to go all the way across, stretch that tape. Once you have gone all the way across the tip right there, you want to start moving the tape down at an angle. Now at this first part before the shoulder, you're going to want to make sure that you are pulling the tape really tight, because obviously the tape is not made on an angle. So here we go. I'm pulling this pretty tight, and then after that first wrap, this is the most important part. I'll come to this side. So you can see where the old tape, you can see right here where that line is, where the old tape has covered. So you want to line up your new part of your tape exactly with where that old one left off. And it's going to take a lot of stretching. You're going to have to pull it back and redo it here in the beginning. This is the toughest part. That's why we start on the top. And you want to make sure it's nice and tight. Don't overlap that old tape. Do you see this line right here? That's where the last layer of tape was. You don't want to overlap it, but you don't want to underlap it either. You want to go right lined up with that. And what I usually do is try to mark it and make sure that it's about halfway through this new piece of tape. So after we get this top part done, the rest of it is going to be really quick. So you got to allow yourself to have some patience here, because it will get a little bit nerve-wracking, but it's so nice when you play on a good pair of sticks that are taped really nicely. This is something you can easily do while you're watching a TV commercial or something. I don't recommend watching TV, but if you do, you might as well make the commercials worth it. On a marching stick, there's not as much taper up here, so it's a lot easier and quicker to tape. Okay, we're past that shoulder for good now. Now I'm holding the tape steady here, and I'm using my left hand to spin it. I would suggest, if you are right-handed, you hold the tape with your right hand, because that's where the control is, and hold the stick and spin with your left hand. If you're left-handed, hold the tape with your left hand, and you'll be spinning the stick in the opposite direction. Can you see how detailed that is there? See how every last piece of the tape is lined up exactly with the old one, so it's really, really smooth. Here's an example of what happens if you don't do that. You can see how there's these little thin lines. That's where the overlap is. And I'll be honest with you, the reason I did that is because I was running out of green tape and I really needed them to be taped that day for this performer. So I wouldn't recommend doing that if you want the tape to last a long time. If you overlap the tape exactly where the last one was overlapped to, not only is it smooth, but it also creates an exact double layer. So if you're playing on something like buckets or the rim of your snare drum or something, it will last a lot longer because now you've got 2 layers of tape on the stick. I don't recommend using duct tape. A lot of people ask me that because they have all the cool colors now. Duct tape is very heavy, and the thickness of it is strange and the texture of it is strange when you're playing. It also is very glossy, so it makes your hands sweat, it makes the stick slip, and it's a pain in the butt to get off and retape. Also, it's very difficult to get it to be exactly smooth, which is what you want because you want it to feel like it's still a stick. So I do not recommend duct tape at all. It also changes the weight very drastically. Now here's another thing. You can tape the stick 3/4 or 2/3 of the way down. This is where your hand will go. Usually when you play on a big Firth stick, your thumb goes right there on the flag, or I actually put mine about between the flag and the H. So you can stop it there. For trashers, we actually tape the entire stick because we do a lot of stick flipping, and we use the back of the stick. So I am going to tape this all the way down. If your hands start to cramp up, that means you're probably doing it right. Now I'm going to turn the whole stick over because I'm getting to the end. But that's really tricky to still see that old line that you're supposed to hit, so actually I'm just going to have to deal with it. But what I am doing, because I'm getting near the end, is pulling more tape out and then twisting the stick to press that on there. You'll see I moved my hand so that there's room to tape now. Now a buddy of mine actually tapes his practice sticks like this, but he tapes them in a spiral one way and he leaves that space like on that green stick I showed you, and then when he comes back to the bottom he spirals up the other way so it creates like a cross pattern, and that makes the stick much heavier so that when you go to play with performance sticks it's much lighter. He also doesn't ruin his sticks very often because it has like a million layers of tape going on. Almost done. My cat's playing in the window. Uh-oh, she found a lizard. It might get loud. Okay, I'm almost to the butt of the stick here. I'll show you what I do when I get to the end. Check it out. All the way down, and then you'll see right where this bend starts to happen. I'm only going to tape to where that bend is, right there. And then I'm going to pull the tape and stretch it sideways so that it goes straight across the bottom, not on an angle anymore, just like I did on the top. And you want to cover it all the way. And now you just cut it and wrap it up. And there you go, there's the butt of your stick. So here is the stick. It is now completely blue. I'll show you up close here. You can see how that tape completely lined up with the last wrap. Okay, now what I want to do is put some accents on it. So a really easy accent to do is one right here, right above where your hands will be, in the center of the stick. And then you could always do stuff here at the butt. If you're doing a lot of cool things where you do turn the sticks over, like a lot of bucket stuff we do, having something on the butt is really cool. Something else I did for a 4th of July parade is this red, white, and blue. Just a little tiny bit of red and blue here at the tip, and then some on the butt. And then I always like to make the tape different thicknesses because it adds a little bit of flair, because anybody and their grandma can just put some random tape on there. So I cut this red tape in half and I used the other half here at the tip. Now you'll notice that this tape was straight but now it's not really. Parts of it are on an angle. That's because I made this maybe 2 years ago for 4th of July, and so the glue of the tape has started to kind of stretch a little bit and get distorted. So if I was going to go perform with this, I would need to retape just this little bit. But because I only use them on the 4th of July, this white tape looks pretty good still. It's not really that beat up. So that's what you can do there. On this pair of sticks, what I did was, this is the full piece of tape. This was a 1/2 inch piece. I had another roll that was I don't know how thick this is. And then I cut this 1/2 inch piece in half, and I put 1/2 on the side, 1/2 here, and I cut this smaller roll in half, and I put 1/2 here. So it's like small, getting bigger, getting bigger, getting bigger. And I also tried to make the green correlate with that as well. So that's something you can do. Here's the bottoms. It's really important when you put on these accents that you line up the tips of the stick. I suggest putting them on a table. Line up the tips, and then make sure after you do one stick exactly how you like it, line up the other stick. And while they're next to each other, that's when you put on the next piece of tape. So you can make sure they're totally lined up, and the bottom, whatever accents you have are totally lined up. So I'm going to put gray on this one because I feel like white or yellow would be a little too school spirited, and I don't teach at any schools that are blue right now. So I like gray. Here's how I measure it. I don't put the sticky side on the tape, I actually put the flat side on. And I wrap it around the stick, and I just kind of measure it. I don't stick it, but I measure it, and then I cut maybe like an extra inch. So put my hand there, and I'll cut it. I think it goes without saying that I'm going to put something on the butt. Now you'll see here, I think I want like maybe about 1/4 inch of blue. I'm not actually going to measure it because I'm going to line it up with the other stick to make them match. If you're doing sticks for a whole group of people that are the same, make sure you just line up the sticks next to each other when you do it. Now this is really important, okay? When you bring this gray around, you'll notice that there's a little bit of gray showing right here. So I'm going to pull it up, and don't stretch it too much, because if you stretch it, it'll make this width get smaller or thicker, and you don't want that. That's why we use the scissors, otherwise they won't line up. So now I've lined up the bottom and the top. There's nothing sticking out. And then I very neatly just press the tape all the way. Okay? And I've got that gray tape now all the way around the butt of my stick. And when I tape the other stick, I'm going to do the same exact thing. Let's see. I think I want to put some blue in the middle of that, so I'm going to get my blue tape back out. The same blue I used to tape the whole stick. And I've taped 1,000,000 sticks, so I know about how much I want to cut off. But I'm going to cut this whole thing in half, making sure not to leave any jagged edges on this cut. You get to listen to my cat Rainbow eat. Lucky you. Okay, now I've cut it in half. I want to save this other half for the second stick. And now I'm going to put this blue right in the center of the gray. All the way around. Bam. Now, technically, I could have cut 2 small pieces of gray, but the thinner the piece of tape is, the weaker it is, and the easier it is for it to come off. So I did a big piece of gray and then kind of a half piece of blue, and that left me with 2 little gray stripes, which I like. Not sure what I want to do to the top of this yet. So I'm going to be creative. Time for you to go be creative with your sticks too. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at coachk@teenpulselife.com. And you know what? I want to see how creative you can get with this stick taping. So go ahead and send me those pictures of the sticks that you tape too.